Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel today. I'm Kevin, and today we're back to our first World War topic. Today our topic is keep talking about the situations after the war end. But today we're not going to talk about negotiator, not about treaties, or not about government. Today we're going to talk about the soldiers, their glory and the beauty among the war. So, while the politicians argued in Paris, soldiers prepared themselves to return to home from the front. They are all uncertain about how they would explain their experience about death, about their friends, about their loss, and about their pain to their families. Some of them turned their feelings into poetry, written by soldiers in the trenches to make sense of the suffering and destruction that they had seen and felt by their very own body and mind. So, at that time, many of these poems are so powerful that they are still widely read today because this is the most of the, it is the most the things that being taken seriously at the time to explain the feelings of a person. So, as people believe it was the best way to express their powerful feelings and believe, they should write it into the poem, including love of their own country. As they explored what it meant to fight and die for their homeland, some writers looked back to Greek and Roman poets for the inspiration for their own poems. These ancient poems had often argued that death in battle was the unlimited heroism and glory. So, one of the most famous poems must come from Robert Brooke. He was a talented young poet that was fascinated by the idea of risking his life for his country. His poem, The Soldiers, made him an instant literary star with a patriotic language. So I might read a part of the poem for you. If I should die, think only this of me, that there's some corner of a foreign field, which is forever England, there shall be. In that rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England bore. So this poem of Brooks seemed to capture a spirit of duty and willing self-sacrifice that gripped many soldiers to join the war at that time. Of course, he died, but he never fought. He did die for his country even when the truth that he is not died because of fight. He died because after he enlisted and sailed for Gallipoli in March 1915, during the voyage, he was attacked and bitten by a mosquito. And for some of you guys who don't know, mosquito at that time is very poisonous and carry lots of disease. And that's why after being bitten, he died because of blood poisonous. After that, Brooke was buried on a Greek island, the home of the ancient warrior poets he admired so long ago. That is just an example for the inspirations and also the spirit that the soldiers at that time want to take into their poems. But of course, there are more than just glory, and the sacrifice feelings for a country is written in the soldier's poem. Men from across Europe and around the world went to war with the visions of glory and heroism on the battlefield. But of course, as I said, war is a bloody thing. It's not peace. It's not a good thing. It's always bad. It's always cause loss, casualties, and pain. So most of the soldiers were shocked at the first time that they discovered the truth in the trenches. Soldiers from every side have to express a similar feeling of pain, loss from their families, for their own life, or even for their teammates, and of course despair as well. Some even use their writing, which means their poems, to mock and demand to end the conflict. An example is that in 1917, a British poet and army officer, Siegfried Sassoon, wrote a letter to British newspaper describing the war as evil and unjust. Sassoon, after that, could have been shot, but the army decided that he must be suffering from shell shock and that he is just getting crazy because the shock was too much for him. So they decided to send him to a hospital in Scotland. Sassoon's poetry was well known at this time, so lots of his fellow patients asked him for help with their writing. Among them was a gentle young officer called Wilfred Owen, who would later become one of the most famous poets of the First World War. Owen was a shy and quiet man who never has been shattered by months of fighting, just like Sassoon. Yet, he returned to the trenches in 1918 because he felt that it was his duty to do things and of course to finish the problem of his country is that he needs to describe the pain and the feelings of the soldiers there. He come to the trenches not to take the word, not to get to protect what everybody think at that time or talk at that time that is glory. He come there to describe what's happening and feel the truth, to take the truth to everybody to know about the destruction of a world. Owens wasn't interested in patriotism, which means in poems. His poetry was concerned with the hearts and mind of common soldiers. The patriotism, which means that word to show and express strong feelings. And no, he's just using the concern of a heart and mind of a normal soldiers. In the Duke at Dahlgren S, Owen mocks the ideas of proud warrior enjoying their death during the war. The title is a quote from a Roman writer and must be translated as "It is sweet and right to die for your country." The poem describes a group of soldiers stumbling to reach a rest area when they were being gassed. So we must read a part of this poem. Bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, cogging like hags, we cursed through sludge. Till on the haunting flares we turned our backs, and toward our distant rest began to trudge. This is the part that the men saw the rest place, and when the men are suddenly gases, Owen shows the reader a man dying from a gas. Their feeling, his pain and suffering is far different from what we usually call the glory. If I could hear at every jolt the blood come gurgling from the frog corrupt lungs, of sense as cancer, bitter as the cut, of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues. My friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory. The old light look at the Dahlgren Est, and that is the end of the part of the poem. So you could see Wilfred Owen showed us the feeling of pain, the feeling of fear, the suffer, and also the the crudeness of the world. There's no such things that calls the glory of death. When we die, of course, people sometimes believe that they get the glories, but of course, the pain and the suffering is some things that people are not usually think about when they know about the glory of unlimited glory of death. Okay, so after all, this topic is just about the feelings of soldiers, while the politicians argued still about the treaties in Paris and other places. They are just remember about their problem. On the other hand, the soldiers need to prepare for their own peace, life, and also the shattered the wounds that was caused in the souls and in the mind would never be erased. And besides, there is some things that the poetry already show us: the casualties, the deaths, and the suffer of pain, loss, disease for even the most courageous soldiers during the war. And this topic just going to express the feelings of those soldiers, for those who survive and for those who are not. And at the end, we all know that this meant that the war is something that must be unaccepted, must be avoided at any cost, even when that cost sometimes make a country weaker or sometimes make everything a little bit chaos. But for any means, saving a life is better than saving some things about money, right? So that's all I want to talk with you guys today about the glory and also the beauty of the soldiers. And now I think it's time for us to say goodbye. See ya!